We have a full committee present, so in order to give each member an opportunity to ask questions in the time frame that we have the Secretary, I'm going to limit those questions to 5 minutes. And I'll start off with myself. Madam Secretary, we saw some late-night reporting on discussions about the fiscal location of Mission Benghazi. And I understand this information came from the production of documents by the Department, which we appreciate your cooperation in providing those documents. My understanding is that the location of Mission Benghazi was an ongoing one, and that the ultimate conclusion of Ambassador Stevens was that we needed to be in Benghazi, the cradle of the Libyan revolution, and that while he was continuously reviewing other location options, that it was his conclusion, as well as that of security personnel in the department, that the current mission site was the best choice, despite a higher price tag because it was more secure than returning to the hotel where there had been a bomb and bomb threats, or moving closer to the annex because it was closer to the road. Can you give us your insights on the decision-making process regarding the location of the mission? And as part of that, can you also, in your response, you touched upon it in your opening statement, but what actions were you and your staff taking the night of September 11th and into September the 12th?
Well, first, you're right, Mr. Chairman, that there was an ongoing discussion. When Chris first landed in Benghazi, he stayed in a hotel along with other representatives of different nations. There were attacks in the vicinity, including in the parking lot of the hotel. The decision was made to move. The compound was selected as being a much better location in terms of security than the alternatives. But there was an ongoing discussion between Chris and others in the embassy in Tripoli, those going in and out of Benghazi, about how best to situate our post there. I did see some overnight reporting about a document. I'm not sure what it is, but I would observe that there were a lot of ongoing efforts because it was important that we were constantly asking what was the best place. As you said, in general, Chris was committed to not only being in Benghazi, but to the location. The professionals in Washington paid close attention to Chris's judgment based on his experience and his firsthand knowledge. And so we stayed. We continued to try to upgrade the facility that was attacked. Obviously, as the ARB has pointed out, there were inadequacies in the response, and those are the specific kinds of recommendations that we are currently implementing. Regarding what I was doing on September 11th, I was at the State Department all day and late into the night. During most of the day, prior to getting notice of the attack on our compound in Benghazi, we were very focused on our embassy in Cairo. That was under assault by a group of protesters. We were assessing the security of our embassy, which is, as those of you who have been there, certainly well defensed, but there were crowds that were intent upon trying to scale the wall, and we were in close communication with our team in Cairo. I was notified of the attack shortly after 4 p.m. Over the following hours, we were in continuous meetings and conversations, both within the department, with our team in Tripoli, with the interagency, and internationally. I instructed our senior department officials and our diplomatic security personnel to consider every option to just break down the doors of the Libyan officials to get as much security support as we possibly could to coordinate with them. I spoke to the National Security Advisor, Tom Donilon, several times. I briefed him on developments. I sought all possible support from the White House, which they quickly provided. Tom was my first call. I spoke with our charge in Tripoli to get situation updates. I spoke with former CIA Director Petraeus to confer and coordinate, given the presence of his facility, which, of course, was not well known, but was something that we knew and wanted to make sure we were closely lashed up together. I talked with the then Libyan National Congress president to press him on greater support, not only in Benghazi, but also in Tripoli. I participated in a secure video conference of senior officials from the intelligence community, the White House, and DOD. We were going over every possible option, reviewing all that was available to us, any actions we could take. We were reaching out to everyone we could find to try to get an update about Ambassador Chris Stevens, also our information specialist, Sean Smith. So it was a constant, ongoing discussion and sets of meetings. I spoke with President Obama later in the evening to, bring him up to date, to hear his perspective. Obviously, we kept talking with everyone during the night. Early in the morning on the 12th, I spoke with General Dempsey, again with Tom Donilon. The two hardest calls that I made were obviously to the families of Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith. And they, I have to say, were extraordinary in their responses and their understanding of the pride we had in both men and gratitude we had for their service. I would also just quickly add, Mr. Chairman, that while this was going on and we were trying to understand it, get on top of it, we were continuing to face protests, demonstrations, violence across the region and as far as India and Indonesia. There were so many protests happening, and thousands of people were putting our facilities at risk. So we were certainly very determined to do whatever we could about Benghazi. We were relieved when we finally got the last of the Americans out of Benghazi, but then we were turning around dealing with the very serious threats facing so many of our other facilities.
Thank you very much. My time has expired. Senator Corker.